Okay, so we have come to the end of um, we have come to the end of the show. Um, Basically, there's one more story, and as you may or may or not just saw, that is about Guardians of the Galaxy. So, Guardians of the Galaxy is three is look, it's the number one of the most anticipated films of not only the summer but the year. We're wrapping up the trilogy with James Gunn. Um, this looks incredible, and he has a knack for being emotional, and he has a knack for doing it right. I hope it's as good as The third one is always that putting everything into it. Um, I think it's I think it's going to be really good. Everybody that I have talked to, okay, that has seen the film already, and I haven't, and I didn't want any spoilers, has said it's really good. So I think this is going to be a fun movie. But James Gunn is a filmmaker that is not your average filmmaker. He's an amazing filmmaker, and that comes with this story because this came out today, and it just goes to show you what kind of filmmaker he really is. So this comes from the Hollywood Reporter, and it says James Gunn created 600 unique versions of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for various types of cinemas. Okay? James Gunn wanted to take full advantage of the multiple aspect ratios available in today's cinemas when Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 opens May 5th in theaters. To do that, the filmmaker took an ambitious approach by creating multiple versions of the movie for a more custom experience for each type of theater configuration. It's definitely the most complex delivery Marvel's ever done, Evan Jacobs, Disney's VP of Finishing and Stereo, tells THR. The creative goal, says Jacobs, was to, quote, give every exhibitor in the United States and most international territories the ability to maximize their screen size for the audience. So wherever you go to see it, you're going to get the best version. The versions are catered to the format of each theater screen, but it goes beyond that. Then on top of that, because of Gunn's got this extra real estate, he essentially said, I'm going to pop in and out creatively, and you'll suddenly see something more immersive and bigger that's going to fill your screen, notes Jacob. For a version designed with a variable aspect ratio, roughly 45 minutes of the movie is open up to a flat 1.85 aspect ratio, while the rest of the film is in letterbox at 2.39. This version will be available in select traditional theaters in some Dolby Cinema auditoriums. Gunn designed it. Gunn quote designed it, and he shot and framed it with this in mind. That was his creative intention, end quote, Jacobs explained, noting that sometimes these moments when these screens pop up were selected based on the visuals, but there weren't any real rules. Sometimes it's the music, sometimes it's what's happening, sometimes it's whatever, Jacobs added, that the really cool 3D version also takes particular advantage of the variable framing options. Aspect ratio is something that James has really enjoyed being a part of the story. It really enjoys the story part telling process, he says. Jacob says, noting that Gunn has created IMAX versions with variable aspect ratios for the first two Guardians movies. Additional Marvel productions have experimented with IMAX, he reports. This time, the director wanted this to be more widely available. The team also created a version of Guardians 3 that only used the 2.39 aspect ratio for certain, quote, traditional theaters, end quote, and certain Dolby Cinema auditoriums, and that they mastered an IMAX 1.9 version designed specifically for the more square aspect ratio of IMAX auditoriums. With this approach, Gunn is taking a page out of James Cameron and John Landau's playbook, who created an unprecedented 1,065 versions of Avatar: The Way of Water, including combinations in 3D, HDR, 4K, variable light levels, aspect ratios, and high frame rates, as well as, of course, the local languages. to offer a customized experience for each type of theater configuration. It is not uncommon for Marvel releases to have 500 versions, which is also a considerably high number for theatrical distribution. According to Jacobs, Guardians 3 topped 600. Asked about the schedule involved in the final weeks to complete these versions of the movie, Jacobs admitted Marvel has always been legendary in the post production community for pushing pretty hard on deadlines and kind of waiting until the last minute to make the movie as great as we possibly can make it. But the movie was pretty solid. It was a movie he was going to make at the beginning. We didn't have to chase a lot of crazy, and the visual effects landed in a rational, sane way. We've all just been pinching ourselves. It would have been harder, frankly, to accommodate the kind of creative vision on a different delivery schedule, he said. But we have the time. We had the time, and we were able to make it work. Jacobs said Disney distribution partners were, quote, incredible, end quote, in getting this work completed. And the fact that Avatar: The Way of Water had that sort of done something like that meant that they were ready to go. Okay, let's talk about it. That's incredible. That is absolutely astounding that Gunn actually put together different cuts of the film for different ratios. By the way, I didn't realize Avatar: The Way of Water was over 1,000. That's crazy. In comparison, it's almost 100. It's half almost. That being said, though, it's amazing. It's unbelievable, and I think that I just think that it's so awesome, and now I kind of want to go see this in all these different ratios. I know ratios are not the biggest things with fans. Okay. Many don't know what that is. And, they only know IMAX, really. Okay. Or 16:9 or something on their TV or whatever. Or HD, high definition or 4K. But to actually be able to go through and do this and to have certain scenes done like that, it's remarkable. This is a shot from the letterbox version, and it's just unbelievable. I can't wait to go see this. And yeah, the fact that he made 600 versions, which leads me to wonder. Okay, this is going to be an interesting little question here. If he's doing 600 versions of this movie, what do you think he's going to actually do for Superman? Because that would be fascinating to find out, right? I think that would be more interesting. Because if he does 600 versions of this, who knows how many he'll do for, because he's writing and directing it, right? So don't be shocked in the coming years, when around 2025, when this gets released, if I'm doing a story about how James Gunn is making 600 different versions of this for Superman Legacy. And, I'm glad. The one thing I will say is this. I'm glad that they really didn't have to worry about visual effects. Because, I know Jacobs was being kind when he was saying that, but we've all heard the stories. We've all heard the horror stories of how bad and how hard-pressed these visual effects artists are in Marvel. So this will be good. This might be the first film in like 4 or 5 films that actually you're not having to worry about the effects, whether it's Ant-Man or Black Panther Wakanda Forever or Thor Love and Thunder or whatever it is. So, that's going to be good. I can't wait to see this. And speaking of Guardians, guys, so this is a perfect segue. So what we're going to do, by the way, what do you guys think about this? 600 different versions of this. Do you think that is too many? Do you think that's not enough? What version are you going to go see it in? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody.